Feeling helpless is to see her deteriorating, unable to do something, but eventually we began to accept the wisdom of Allah. And through accepting the wisdom of Allah, that He gifted us to be around her, He gifted us with an opportunity to be with her through her remaining days, probably was the best gift. 4, we could never have ever forgiven ourselves if each one of us was a different place on this planet and suddenly she disappeared without us having a chance to say goodbye or having the last moment with her. We came to realize it was the biggest gift, that when she departed, we as a family became even closer to each other. We became closer because she said, the way you are now beside me here is the way I want you to remain after I'm gone. So eventually, although we felt helpless, eventually we became so we had gratification, and we showed gratitude to Allah to have given us that best opportunity, that He did not snatch her from us. So sudden, He gave us an opportunity to serve her, to be with her through her period. Although she was deteriorating, her mind was still functioning, and she was able to understand what's going on to the last moment. So we no longer felt helpless, we became appreciative. And that is how we need to take it. If we have ill people, sick people at home with our family, the moral support we give them is more important. The time we spend to them is more important. I can tell you one thing that I began to understand later: giving my mother a hug, touching her hand, stroking her back, massaging her feet, getting a glass of water and allow her to sip the water from my hand. Now I can tell you those were my best moments. If I have another chance to have my mother now, I would make sure that I'm with her the longer I can. And I say to anybody here who has a mother alive, or a father for that matter, the gates of heaven are open whilst they are still alive. When they are gone, one gate of heaven is closed, is shut. Serve your parents, show gratitude to them. The Quran asks us to do that. And today, I think and I believe, if my mother was to be back here, there'll be a fight amongst us, the brothers and sisters, who is going to take care of her more than anybody else. So if there is one regret that I have, is that as she was going through her last days, my health condition did not allow me to be closer to her than I would have hoped. Nevertheless, we were beside each other, morally supporting each other, praying for each other. And that is what we need to do to our loved ones. Rather than having the anxiety, feeling helpless, is giving them that moral support.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
معلش سؤالي راح يكون بالعربي.
تفضل.
نشكرك يا شيخ على قوتك النفسية وحرصك انك تنقل هذه التجربة، وانت مثال للقيادة للشباب في عمان، واحنا نحتاج لهذه الصراحة وهذه الصدق، انه كيف الواحد ما يستحي من نشر تجربته للآخرين. ملاحظتي انه هل هناك في علاقة بين الأوبئة التي تنتشر الآن من ضمنها السرطان وعلم العالم أو الآخر العالم مثلا؟ هل هناك ما يدل انه هذا نوع من الفتن او من علامات الساعة مثلا؟
نعم.
النقطة الأخرى، أنا لا أصدق أن هناك بيننا حسد، بس هل الحسد هذا عامل نفسي يؤثر على مثل هذه الأمراض، يزيد من انتشارها؟ وشكرا جزيلا لك.
بارك الله.
I'll repeat the question. The question is of two parts. Part one is that the diseases we have today, the cancer, the incurable disease, has it got anything that is linked to the end of the world? Is this one of the signs that the world is about to end? And the answer to that, the Prophet of Islam gave us many signs that the world is about to end, that we are reaching the end. The Quran also testifies to that. And my suggestion is very simple. Don't wait for the world to end, for you're going to end before the world maybe ends. You're going to leave this world before it happens. Whether this is part of the sign or not part of the sign, Allah is not going to ask you how the world is going to end and why it is ending, but He's going to ask you, are you ready for it? Have you done enough to qualify yourself for a better life in the hereafter? So I have stopped worrying about the signs because they are all over. The only question I ask myself, am I ready to leave? Am I ready to leave? If I'm not ready, what do I need to do to be ready to leave? If you have an answer to that, then you can sleep peacefully and let the world end. Having said that, also the Prophet of Islam said, إِذَا قَامَتِ السَّاعَةِ, if the world is ending, وَفِي يَدِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَسِيلَ فَلْيَغْرِسْهَا, and one of you has got a plant in their hand, then they ought to plant it. In other words, do not stop participating, becoming active, adding value to society, progressing, even if the world is ending. Continue. The time to stop is when your soul departs your body. That is the time to stop. So it does not mean because I know the world is about to end, then it's time for me to seclude myself from society, stay in the mosque or somewhere and say, khalas, the world is finishing, I have nothing else to do, even if I do anything, it's meaningless. That is wrong thinking. Continue until the end of the world. As of the second question, the question was, we know the society, there is a lot of envy that's going around, al-hasad, and Omanis are very famous for that. I say to that, if there's plenty of envy around, Allah has given us the anti-envy. He has given us the antidote. He has given us the antivirus. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ وَمِنْ شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. Recite that chapter with conviction that is going to be a shield to protect you from society. If you do that, then you are shielded, you're protected. And don't worry whether it is there or not. It's going to continue to be there. One more thing. The minute you begin to have enemies is because you're doing something right. You're successful. So when you have enemies, embrace the fact that you have enemies. For failures, don't have enemies. Show me someone who is a failure and has got enemies. They don't. So when you become successful as a speaker, as a person who is earning in your career, in your family, you're doing something right, be prepared to have enemies. It's part and parcel of nature. And if you don't have enemies, you're doing something wrong. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, تفضل. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
I have one question speaking from point of view, is that since we, us youth, as we live in this society, we're clouded with these big marketing companies, with food and all this. My question is, what is your word to youth on the way to navigate through this, as in raising their consciousness and awareness to the situation?
Naam, Jazakallah khair. The question says about the marketing companies and the way they are, the consumerism world, and the way they advertise and they attract a lot of youth. How can we guide the youth to be aware of it so they can navigate safely in the society? And I say, number one, the family has got a role to play. If parents give up their role in educating their children, in providing them with right opportunities, with the awareness, and they leave them to the media, then they become the children of the media. Our children are influenced by 4, and we have to choose as parents which of the 4 is going to be the biggest influence. Number 1 is parents, the family. They have a chance to influence their children, specifically at the early age. Number 2 is the media. what they watch on television and the internet, and nowadays even the smartphones. Number 3 is the street, the society, who they interact with, their peers, their friends. Number 4, the school. These 4 interact with our children. Whoever gets the biggest share of time and attention will be the biggest influence. Need I say that the biggest influence today is the media and the street? Parents are too busy, and the schools have no time to inject the right manners and attitude, because there are too many children in one class and the teachers are merely catching up with what's going on. So now if parents give up their role, then they have to bear the consequence. As a counselor, parents come to me when they have children have reached the teenage. That's the time they come to me, or they go to seek help. When the child has got into drugs, or they had a fight, they got into alcohol, into robbery, they got into wrong relationship, they got into trouble, they come and say, Khalfan, help us. We don't know how to deal with our kid. I said, but then it's too late. It's too late. You failed to play your role from the birth to the age of 10. Now you are bearing the consequence. What you planted, what you invested in the early age, you reap from the age of 10 to the age of 20. If you don't do your job, bear the consequences. If you do a good job, you're going to have a rightful kid. So I say to parents, revisit the quality time you have with your children. Always question yourself. Are you giving them enough attention? Are you guiding them at that age? If you don't expect somebody like me to come and tell to the youth today, go do something right. It's going to be a mere band-aid. It won't be the root treatment. The best way to do prevention is better than cure. And if parents give up their role, they have to bear the consequences. And I think we'll have final question and we'll call it a day, because I don't want to hold you for a long time. Wa alaikum assalam. Can you have a mic?
If after you were diagnosed with the addiction, you said yourself that you started reevaluating your life, you are granted with a huge amount of knowledge. My question is, what about your legacy? The source of your knowledge, where can we find it?
MashaAllah.
And one point of the audience, was bringing up about the natural soul. They're wondering where we can find it. We can find it at one of the traditional souks.
Traditional souk, naam. Naam. Second question is that if you wonder about where you can find natural salt in the traditional souk, in Matrah you can get it. You can also get it other places, natural salt. I think the first question is, I don't know how to answer it. He says, with everything you have learned and everything you are doing and you said, etc., where can we find your legacy? Where can we find your knowledge? Well, I'm just beginning to learn. I have no legacy to leave behind, nor do I have plenty of knowledge to leave behind. You may think I'm knowledgeable, but I'm just one of you. I pretend to have plenty of knowledge, and I pretend to speak with a lot of wisdom, but basically it's because I speak from the heart. Yeah? So the legacy that I would like to leave behind, if you ask me that question, what legacy would you like to leave behind? What are you aspiring for? What do you want people to remember you of? Then I can answer that. And basically, what I would like to send as a message, and hopefully that message continues even once I depart this world, is specifically to the youth, to realize you don't have to lose anything in life to be happy and to be successful. Priority number one is to hold tight to your values. Believe in the values that you have and hold tight to them, and live your values. If you have no values, you become shakeable. If you have no values, basically you can switch. Today you are good, tomorrow you are bad. Today you are successful, tomorrow you are a failure. If you have no values, you are standing on shaky grounds. What values do I talk about? I talk about Islamic values, human values, respect, trust, honesty, faithfulness. These are human values. These are Islamic values. Hold tight to them. The Salah teaches us these values. Do we practice them in life? I would like to leave a legacy behind that I'm practicing these values without losing anything. You can become religious if we use the word religious. In other words, you become an observer and a practitioner of your faith. At the same time, you become successful in the worldly life. I'm pursuing a life of business, and I want to be a millionaire. I'm pursuing a life of consultancy, so I can add value to society. I'm pursuing a life of social worker, adding value to the society as a contribution, voluntary contribution. I'm pursuing life as a family member. At the same time, my name is Khalfan, and it rhymes with have fun, and I want to have fun in life. And I think with that, we conclude the session. Please have fun in your life. Oh,
waiting.
You're waiting. I thought we said this is the final question of having fun. Okay, let us have fun with two last questions. And then those who hold the mics, please then switch them off. Yes, go ahead.
Assalamu
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Sh.Khalfan, you brought up a very important subject about the chemicals that are in medicines and are maybe causing the cancer or helping us get cancer.
Yes.
Could you also shed light, have a bit of spreading awareness about the chemicals that exist in our daily personal cosmetic products that we use?
Yeah.
From deodorants to shampoos to washing machine liquids and dishwashers liquids and so on.
Yeah.
Because these are things women deal with on a daily basis, and they also contribute strongly into, getting cancer eventually. I believe that.
Yeah.
There's so much research, so I just...
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you. I think you're right. Today we are overwhelmed with chemicals, but at the same time we can do without them if we choose to. It may be hard at the beginning, but eventually it can work. It's not only the chemicals, we can also talk about the waves. For example, never ever sleep with the phone on and the Wi-Fi working and have that beside your head, because that can also transmit these signals and the waves, and we are told that with studies they can cause some damage to the brain. As of chemicals, they are everywhere. It's how much you want to handle and how much you want to read. The alternative is always there. For example, with deodorant, with shampoo, with the soap, there are some products that are pH balanced. One of them is, for example, this simple. It's there. Yeah? It doesn't have all these nice smells because it doesn't have a lot of chemicals. So one has to shop around to live a healthy life. With food, as I said earlier, organics. With detergents, the best detergent at home is lemon. We can use lemon to remove all the greasy stuff rather than use all these tough chemicals. But do you want to go for that or not? It's a choice people make. So I think educating ourselves of alternatives of natural stuff is always encouraged. With deodorant, you have natural musk. All you have to do is just grind it, turn it into powder, and use it as a deodorant, the best deodorant. Do you want to go for that, or do you want to go for the simple solutions? I leave that to individuals. Fully agree, chemicals are everywhere, but if you really care about your body and you care about your health, you have to be conscious that every time you introduce a chemical to yourself, you are posing a threat and your body may not be able to handle. Therefore, if you choose to go that path, bear the consequences. Tfadal. Walaikum salam.
Thank you very much for one question. You have mentioned, yes, you have mentioned that one of the remedies is okay now? Yes. You mentioned that one of the remedies of cancer is to forgive and to forget. My question is, the moment you see the person who have wronged you, to change your mood, how can we develop this habit of forgiving and forgetting?
Thank you. Very good question. The question says, one of the remedies of cancer is to forgive and forget. But the minute you see that person in front of you, then they activate wrong emotions. So how can you handle those emotions? The answer is very simple. If you forgive and forget, you're doing yourself a favor. I'm going to play with the words. The word forgive is of two parts. Forgive. Forget is forget. When you forgive, then you can forget. Do you see it? By you giving, you can receive. A lot of people say, I cannot forgive. I say, no, you can forgive, but you don't want to forgive. Some people actually enjoy the fact that somebody has hurt them because they have something to talk about. They have something to boast about. They have something to complain about. They have something to seek attention. To say, you know what, I have been wronged. Oh, you've been wronged. I feel sorry for you. And they get attention as a result. But if you have nothing to complain about, nobody pays attention to them. So some people enjoy to play the victimized role because with it they get attention. Yeah? And therefore, and you go to somebody say, you know what, I've been somebody is wronged me, says you've been wronged that way. Let me tell you how I've been wronged. So they've got a better story to say. Yeah? And that way they support each other and they say, no, I'm better than you, as if it's a competition, as who has been wrong the biggest. All I'm saying with forgiving and forgetting, you're doing yourself a favor. Because if you have a negative emotion, it is a weight, it's a burden upon your body, upon your heart. One of the good stories I read about forgiving and forgetting is the teacher who wanted to teach his students at primary school. What does forgiving and forget mean? He says, children, we're going to play a game. At the start of the week, I want you all to come to school with a bag, a backpack, and you bring with you potatoes. Each one of you bring 5, 10 potatoes or whatever you can bring. So children took it as a game. They came on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it starts, with a backpack and a bag of potatoes. Says, okay? They put all the potatoes in the middle, a pile of potatoes. And they said, if you remember someone who wronged you, take 1 potato. If that person has wronged you twice, take 2 potatoes. So as many you can remember of people who wronged you or situation you were wronged, take as many as you can. So the children said, oh, good. Some took 1, some took 3, some took 5, some took 20. Says, okay, now, whatever you have, put it on your back. Now keep that bag on your back all day as we are in the school. So during the break, they all went around and says, how many do you have? 1. Oh, you have 1, I have 5. I have 20. They felt good about it. The more they had, you see, competition. Day 1 was okay. Day 2, they began to feel the weight of it. Day 3, potatoes began to rot. So the bad smell, and they became heavier. By day 5, they said, teacher, we don't want to play this game. It stinks, and it's heavy. We don't like it. He says, okay, now let us put it back here. What do we learn from this? He says, every time you have a negative thought or a negative emotion, it's just like having a potato on your back that is rotting. The longer you have it, the more it stinks. The longer you have it, the heavier it gets. Now you decide how many negative thoughts, negative emotions, or grudges you want to hold on for as long as you want. There are people who were wronged when they were 5 years old. Now they are 40 and 50. They still say, I cannot forgive my mother. I cannot forgive my father. I cannot forgive somebody. They wronged me a long time ago, and until today I cannot forgive them. I said, it's your problem. It's not their problem. Now when you forget, you come at peace with yourself. Not at peace with them. At peace with yourself. So the best thing I can suggest to you, if someone has wronged you, number 1, look at them with an eye of mercy. Say, feel sorry for them that they are wronging people. Or see them as people who are sick. Or see them as people who wronged you unintentionally. Or just say, whatever you wronged me, it did not affect me, I let it go. Whatever the case, whatever the approach, make sure it does not stick in your heart. Do not have sticky feelings in your heart. Let them go. Turn to Allah. Say, Allah, you have told me in your book If I forgive, you will forgive me. So trade with Allah. Trade with Allah. Say, oh Allah, I have been wrong today by this person, but because you said if I forgive, you will forgive me, I would like to trade with you. I'm forgiving this person, please forgive me. فَاعْفُوا وَاصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Do that. And the afu is to let it go completely. Unconditional forgiveness. Don't say, I'll forgive you if you do this to me. I'll forgive you if you stop doing this. I'll forgive you if you give me money. I'll forgive you if you take me for dinner. I'll forgive you if you buy me flowers. Don't put any conditions. Let it go. This is what Rasulullah taught us. People who inflicted harm on him and his companion, plenty of tribulation. In Mecca, he was made to become he had to run away for his life. He was made to become a fugitive. He had to run for his life to Medina. 10 years later, he comes back to Medina as a victor, not as a victim, as a victor. What does he do? Does he retaliate? He brings the people of Mecca. He says, Ya Ahla Makkah, O people of Mecca, ماذا تظنون فاعل بكم? What do you think I'm about to do unto you? They said, أخ كريم وابن أخ كريم. A generous brother and the son of a generous brother. He says, اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. Go, you are all free. Unconditional forgiveness. That's what we need today. Wallahu a'lam. I think it's a good opportunity to close now. I would like to sincerely thank you for your time. What I shared today is my personal story. I spoke from the heart. I didn't prepare anything. What came to my mind and my heart, I said it. I believe as a society, there is so much we can do to ourselves. We need to remove stigmas. Too many stigmas that we have in the society. The biggest stigma with cancer is that people who have it, they are doomed to die. That's not. We should not consider cancer as a disease. It's a condition. And when that condition comes, we have to take it as a blessing. With it comes many lessons. We need to provide plenty of moral and emotional support to people who have it. We ought not to look at them with an eye of pity, with an eye of sorry, with an eye of grievances. We have to give them moral support, positive encouragement that they can make it through, that they can go through. We ought to feel good for them rather than feel bad for them. More importantly, I think we need the spiritual activation, reactivation to strengthen our relationship with Allah. For once we do that, the inner peace that we attain is invaluable. You cannot put a value to that. And I believe the biggest gift Allah has given me is an opportunity for me to reevaluate my life, to have a stronger connection with Him. For now, I feel I'm a better person than I was probably 2 years ago. And with that, I say, look after your health, your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, and your spiritual health. These four need your attention. Give them your time, and you shall never go wrong if you do that. And with that, we conclude. Thank you once again. I would sincerely like to thank a very few groups of people. The organizers who organized this event, sincere thank to you. The Islamic Information Center, you're doing a fantastic job. Jazakumullahu khairan for this organization. I'd like to take this opportunity to also thank my family for them to be my side all the way through, specifically my wife, my sisters. Two people I'd like to specifically thank. One of them is here on a visit. One of them is on travel. I will refrain from mentioning their names. Both of them are ladies. They looked after me from their hearts. I have no fear mentioning their names, and maybe it's good that I mention their names. One of them is Camille Al-Kharousi. She went beyond the call of duty to stand by me. She's not here, she has traveled. I would like to recognize her support, her undivided attention, unconditional support. She's a wonderful lady, and I can never pay her back. I would also like to thank Anastasia. She's a Greek lady working in Germany as a nurse. She looked after me when I was in Germany. We invited her to come to Oman. She's impressed with the Omani life. She was really serving me from her heart. So I'd like to specifically thank her. I would also like to thank the Armed Force Hospital, the management, the doctors, the nurses. They were truly serving me from their hearts. They went beyond the call of duty to be there for me. Sometimes they were there outside the working hours to make sure that I was comfortable in receiving the treatment. So I'd like to thank them. Royal Hospital, also I did take some sessions with them. They also went outside their call of duty to support me and to give me the attention I deserve. And the SQU Hospital, the Sultan Qaboos University Hospital. Professor Mansour and his team and the nurses, the support they gave me is world class. I could never ask for better services that I get there. Not only me, but all patients. I was more impressed to learn that in the Qaboos University Hospital, in the pharmacy, when they mix the medicine, they allow Quran to be recited. And I believe that has more power, more healing power. So I commend the pharmacy for them to be using Quran also as part of the treatment. I would like to thank the community, from the top officials, His Majesty, all the way to Diwan, to the Majlis al-Dawla, to the community, to my friends who truly stood by me to support me through the time that I went through. The number of letters, messages, visits, calls, donations, charity, dua, qiyam al-layl people were doing for me, I was overwhelmed by that. I would also like to thank my business partners, specifically Ihab, who stood by me, and the other business partners that I have to make sure that the business continues despite me becoming ill, to make sure that it continues. I can continue on and on. And your love, your caring attitude, your support, your du'as is the biggest gift I can receive from you. I find no ways to give you back, to pay you back. You showed me your love, you showed me how much you care and how much I mean to you, and to me that is the biggest gift. All I pray to Allah is for Him to give me strength and energy for me to continue to do what I'm doing to the society and to pay you all back. This is what I consider to be true Islam, that we are here for each other. So with that, we conclude this session, and I hope that we begin to have more of these sessions as we used to do in the past. And we're going to conclude with dua, and we're going to say, اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا شقي ولا محروما ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا واختم بالباقية الصالحة أعمالنا ربنا آمنا بما أنزلت واتبعنا الرسول فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعاء وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا.
الذي خلقني فهو يهدين والذي هو يطعمني ويسقين وإذا مرضت فهو يشفين والذي يميتني ثم يحيين وال